I want attacking purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And Footscray back in front. From inside the centre square. Boys kick the goal. Boys kick the goal. From inside the centre.
Hey Pack, welcome to a little teaser episode of Danny Boyd, a podcast about the genuine greatest team in the competition, if you listen to the media. That is the Footscray Football Club, Proprietary Limited. They trade as Western Bulldogs. I'm Danny McGinlay. Tom Boyd is the darling of the media on AFL 360 last night, wearing a St Kilda scarf. Huge controversy. And he's getting a taste, my friends. We're going to see Tom Boyd on a lot of TV. Because would you like to share what text I got from you at about 8:30 last night?
Well, firstly, I will just note that I didn't actually wear the scarf for the entirety of the show. It was simply just put on me to take a photo at the end. But having said that, this game, I feel, particularly given that St Kilda are playing Carlton in Spud's game, I think I'm on St Kilda's side because that means that I either see all of my family happy because Carlton won after being beaten by 100 points last week, or I get to see them sad. Sounds just as good to me when it comes to football. So, I sent you a text last night saying, you know how we like try and help each other out, we're friends and stuff. Like people keep asking me, I got asked multiple times last night, hey, have you ever done front bar? And I'm like, no, I don't know anyone at that show. So,
hey,
it's obviously hard to get on. Talking to Peter Hudson, who played 60 years ago, obviously had a slightly better career than me, averaging 130 goals a year, wherever it was. But
it's not bad. Caroline Wilson was the guest last night. She didn't have as good a playing career as you.
Yeah, no comment.
Well, so Boydie asked me, hey, when you get me on, I should give the whole backstory. I was watching 360. I saw Boydie was going to be on this Wednesday night, and I said, hey, man, you know what I'm going to say? Plug the pod. This is all you need to do. And Boydie texts me whilst Front Bar's on air saying, hey, get us on the front bar. Come on, let's do this. And I went, hey, did you plug us? and what was the answer there, Boydie?
Mate, if honestly, no was the answer. Oh, my God. That would have been – so there was a moment on 360 last night where my sister just got signed as an AFLW player for North Melbourne.
Which is very exciting. Tessa Boyd, friend of the show.
And also, she's playing for the red, white and blue. She's playing for the white, but she is wearing number 17, which is a fantastic little nuance to the whole situation. So I decided last night to very erratically just force that into the conversation because I wanted Tess to get a shout out on 360 and stuff them. They asked me to come on, so I promoted the game obviously, but I forced that in. And let me just say that it was a bit like, oh, and there was no reaction from either of them because I don't know if they were just. Anyway,
do you know what this reeks?
They were very nice.
So they didn't really want to talk about the AFLW, and you reckon they would have been very reluctant to discuss the greatest podcast, the biggest Western Bulldogs themed podcast in the known universe. And do you know what that reeks of to me, Tom Boyd? Waitley is afraid. He knows the juggernaut that is Danny Boyd is coming. And if
maybe that's why he didn't ask me any questions last night. Maybe that's the reason.
Because
it was I was a bit confused. I thought Jared would ask me more questions because I've worked with Jared a couple of times before, and obviously a connoisseur of the sporting landscape, and one I've always respected for his genuine love of what he does, and obviously the love of sport. But yeah, I think I got one question out of him at one stage. He just sort of sat there and smiled at me.
Was the question, are you coming for my job?
No, but there was sort of obviously there was an undertone that the Danny Boyd show was getting so big that it was clearly a competition for 360.
Yep. And his breakfast
but I
show.
will say, also a bit of a strange setup at the table. Like they kind of had Jared and Gary sort of 45-degree angles, and then they just kind of bunged me next to Gary. It was a bit weird. Anyway, the interview went well. Looking forward to Spud's game tomorrow night. As was announced, I'm actually doing the 2 moment, which essentially means that in a essentially dark MCG with hopefully a lot of people there, I get to stand in the middle of the centre circle with the two teams surrounding me with their arms intertwined and do a 2-minute moment, which will be, I would say, the most interesting public speaking gig I will have ever done.
What gig are you going to do? You're going to open with a song? Or?
Yeah, I was thinking of sort of air guitar into, like nothing stupid. They sort of gave me a bit of a rough framework for what I was going to say. And I don't like to prepare like too many days in advance for these things. So I only really started going through it yesterday. I'm more of a build the foundations of what you want to say and then speak freely rather than like pour over every detail and become a robot, because it just doesn't come across as well when I speak that way, I've found over the years. And so yesterday I started looking at sort of what they'd had for me and basically just changed everything. So I'll better get that ticked off before I do it. But I think it'll be really good. The most important thing is that at the end of the sort of 2-minute moment, there's a transition from, hey, here's what's really important and what we should care about, what role the community and the people can play in both raising money for mental health, but also supporting each other and so on and so on and so on. We've got to transition them into, holy shit, a game of football's about to start. Let's get going. And that is the bit that I will seek a little bit of professional advice on, because I certainly haven't done that before. So, I'm excited. Should be fun.
Well, I mean, you've got to sort of thread the needle there, because you've got to get people excited for a game of footy, and you've also got to distract them that they're about to watch St Kilda versus Carlton.
Precisely my point. And I don't mean that in any derogatory way, but let me say this. I watched St Kilda play last week. Jeez.
And that was them winning.
Well, yeah, to be fair, I watched all of the hard work before they started kicking a few goals. I didn't get to the fruits of the hard-earned labour. And look, I will say this. Like I said to, I was talking to a current AFL player the other day, and I sort of said, geez, the game's kind of shit to watch at the moment in a lot of ways. Like a lot of the teams are shit to watch. And he said, it's really interesting. It's sort of gone from being this, attack and force a ball forward and, the running maul that Richmond played, and then the high scoring, teams of the last 10 years. And he said, now it's like this real, like, careful game of not turning the ball over in bad areas. And there's like this sort of bubble around the ball, which we've sort of discussed in this podcast a few times, sort of keeping the ball hemmed into one side of the ground. But then once it does break, then it's all gangbusters off to the races. But it's just become this really slow, contested, congested game. And then eventually it breaks open. But it makes for some less than desirable watching at times, particularly in the teams who are better at defence than they are, say, offensively.
Unless you are watching the Footscray Football Club, who are...
Then it doesn't matter.
Mate,
it does.
Do you know what I love? Everyone's, we're up and about. We're the premiers already in May, according to some people. But what's more is we're playing entertaining footy. This is like...
That's right.
This is clearly Bevo and Ange Postecoglou have had a chat. This is all attack, fun, chaos, ball. We're going to be just going really deep dive in the Patreon episode that's going to be released at the same time as this. This is just a little message. Normally we don't do a free-to-air episode this week, but we last week we did a special one for the Patreons. We did a free-to-air, and we thought we'd do a little one for the free-to-air this week before we go into the Patreon. So, and look, a whole bunch of people have joined. We've really got a massive community there, and they're asking some great questions. We're going to be getting deep into the Zach Butters rumours. We're getting deep into the Bailey Smith tit for tat, which I absolutely love. And there's a lot of discussion of where our lids should be. I'll just ask you. I'll tell you. I'm going to ask a question right now. Rob McNamara is one of our. He's been a Patreon since day dot. If you might have even seen him down at Docklands. He wears the Thor jumper that we wore for that one game in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, he is ripped he can pull it. He looks bigger than Hemsworth. So if you've seen a massive unit down the bottom level of Docklands, that is Rob McNamara. He just wanted to know, from both of us, where's the lid at right now? I'll answer first because this won't surprise anyone. Lid is gone. Lid is off. I have flung it. It is gone into the ocean, and it will take a miracle for that lid to come anywhere near my head at some point in the next month. Look, we got a hard game against Gold Coast this weekend. I fully expect us to not win, but does that make me think that we're not already grand finalists, if not premiers? No. We're going to win this. We are up. We are both up and about. Tom Boyd, you're the sensible one. Where's your lid?
Mate, I feel a bit the same, and here's why. Every single loss that we have on our fixture this year so far, I can make a compelling case as to why it happened.
All right, let's do it right now. Collingwood, umpires, terrible.
Umpires, correct.
Freo.
Freo, missing key players and small errors.
Yes.
Over in the way.
Very badly timed errors just before halftime and three-quarter time.
Brisbane lose a player in the first 5 minutes, down on interchanges, missing a few key players, small errors.
And Gold Coast, if we do lose, just for if anyone's listening after we lost, it's just Darwin?
Darwin.
Yeah.
Darwin is the great leveller, you know? There's some terrible teams who've won up there over the years, and there's some incredible teams won up over there. And I will say, as the person who was a part of the Vic Metro team to be the first ever Victorian team to lose to the Northern Territory in history, I believe, in the under-18s, Darwin is the great leveller. It was a nightmare.
Is it a leveller, or is it just it's just disadvantage to the Vic sides?
Well, it's a leveller because there are extreme elements that can be there that are extreme, more extreme obviously if you come from Victoria, but still extreme even if you're in Queensland. When you get to the absolute ridiculous humidity, heat, then you've got the slipperiness, the combination of things brings everyone close together. Yes, I would say it errs on the side of supporting those on the Gold Coast and Brisbane, but realistically at this time of year, it's not like it's 38 degrees and muggy in Gold Coast or Brisbane. So I think it will certainly be a leveller, but I take that into account, and we can make an excuse. So basically what I'm saying is we could have been 8-0, right?
Yep.
Here's the other part. We've also got a number of players whom have had, let's say, less than desirable years either in the last 12 to 18 months. Talk your Tim Englishes, your Aaron Nortons, where they've still been really, really solid contributors, but they haven't been at their best, right? Haven't played the best footy of their careers in the last 12 months. Now you've got Tim playing probably the best game he's played in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Aaron starting to take a much more consistent approach to hitting the scoreboard. You add that in with the players who were on the edge, and I don't mean on the edge of the team, but on the edge of just cracking the game open. You've got Ed Richards playing great football again. Riley West being one of the best small forwards in the competition with the amount of ground ball he gets in there in particular. You've got Dr. Crane dominating, absolutely dominating as a player that no one could have foreseen being this successful this early in his career.
Yep.
And you keep going down the list, and you add in the young boys and the consistency from our old performers and the Bonts and the Libbers. And, mate, we have such a comprehensive list at the moment that it sort of begs disbelief to work out where we can go wrong from here, which is a terrifying statement.
Yep.
But all that is to say, for the sensible one of the group, the lid's pretty off for us at the moment. It's pretty much at least on the floor. Hard to know if it's going to exit the building at some stage in the next couple of weeks, and it might just be completely out of sight by the end of the month. So I'm very, very bullish on us for want of a better term.
Yeah, and I want to explain to the listeners why it's important to have the lid off. I mean, we're talking about mental health, Spuds Week and everything. So I'll tell you a story. When I worked at ABC Grandstand, I worked with Limo, famous Hawthorn fan, Tess Armstrong, who is a dyed-in-the-wool Richmond fan, and we went through the entire 2018 season. Now, Richmond are the reigning premiers, and they were top of the ladder pretty much all season, and at no point did Tess ever acknowledge that Richmond were good. She was always, oh no, we're going to stuff it up. We're going to not, something will go wrong. It's just the Richmond way. Last year was a fluke. Oh my God. And Limo kept telling her, no, enjoy this. You have to be happy with being premiers. You have to celebrate. It doesn't come around very often. She goes, but what if when we lose, it's bad? And look, they did lose. They did lose the prelim final. And do you reckon her saying, I told you so, felt anywhere near as good as if she just enjoyed being the premier's elect for the few months?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. If you don't assume that you are, then you get no enjoyment from the ever questioning and self-doubt that comes from it. And then there's a very, very good chance it doesn't work out in the end anyway.
Absolutely.
And then you get nothing for the whole year, and you become a bitter and resentful supporter. I think back to my childhood, right, and as a Carlton supporter, the amount of games where I went to where we were actually a decent side for portions of it, where I think we sort of, in 2011, we got knocked out in the semi by a goal, could have made it into a prelim, right? And the supporters are just like, oh, same old rubbish, sick of this team, yada, yada. I'm like, we were on the bottom for most of my childhood. This has got to be better.
Yep.
Right? So I think as supporters, this is the moment where we build up our positive credits and our supporter credits, and we get into these guys can do no wrong, so that when we do go down, we sort of can use a few of those positive credits to be critical fans rather than just being critical all the time.
Yep, I agree. And also, when I say enjoy it, I mean, just, look at Bont, look at what Dr. Crane and Davidson, are doing, and think about all the positivity that's coming. Don't just be pointing at opposition fans and going, you suck. We're not Hawthorn fans here. We're going to enjoy ourselves, not other people suffering.
I've got one more thing that we really need to acknowledge about why the lid should be off. We have had 3 games of Bont now.
Yep.
Or is it 4?
3. St Kilda, GWS and Port Adelaide.
And we've now had 1 game of Treloar. And these players who are coming back from calf injuries, load issues as we would call them, load management injuries, which essentially means that you need to be careful not ramping them up too quickly. You can obviously train to play, but then you've got to play, and sometimes players come back and they have to play too much game time or do too many kilometres or whatever. And they end up in a position where they actually go backwards and they might re-injure themselves. We've been able to limit game time for Marcus Bontempelli and Adam Treloar because the team has been so even and delivered such strong results on the field that we actually could not have asked for a better return to play for either of those two. This weekend's the great test. Playing on soft fields, slippery fields up in Darwin is a calf injuries nightmare.
Okay.
So let's go through that. But I see really this week as the opportunity for us to completely blow the lid off and show that regardless of where we play or who we play against, we are the team to beat at the moment. I think very much so that we win this week by 4 to 5 goals.
Oh, I love that. All right. And, lid is off for this year. Also, one final thing. Lid can be off for the foreseeable. Just one last positive thing that we don't have time to discuss really in the Patreon episode, so I'll put it on to free to air. There's another Darcy coming. There was some match reports about Will Darcy, Sam's little brother, who is playing out at Scotch College and is apparently an absolute jet. But here's the kicker, Tom Boyd. He plays as a key defender. We're going to have a Darcy at both ends for the majority of the next decade.
Why don't we bring Luke back as well?
And watch this. There's going to be calls in the media for a Darcy equalisation policy, and we'll be stripped of a Darcy. You just know that.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Danny? That's a joke. But the reality is, those two boys, if they are as good as expected, they could be the death of the father-son. Because I tell you what, and if we can get Crofty up there and playing well,
Oh, yes.
we will be we will be like 40% father-sons.
Yeah.
Or something crazy in our team, which will really, really, really piss everyone off. And, let's fast forward another 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and our AFLW girls will be substantially father-daughters.
Yes.
My question to you is, do we then get to go mother-sons? Is that in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is that a thing now?
It is a thing now, yeah. It's there's talk of because of Daisy Pearce's twin boys.
Well, what's the game?
Boy and a girl.
That's the thing.
Look, I'm not across Daisy Pearce's family. I think it's only for you because your daughter can play AFLW. It's only one game for father daughters. Well, I'd say it must be the same for mother son. I don't know, but surely that's it. Look,
surely not.
I don't know. Look, that's logistics. This is for bureaucrats to decide. All I know is I want you all to go to Bont's Cafe and just buy all the condoms in the pharmacies around and supermarkets around there, just so he can't get to any. And if he accidentally gets his beautiful fiancée pregnant, oopsie doopsie.
Well, I don't know if we need to go that far. At the right time, like the good thing is Marcus is well and truly enshrined in past the 100-game mark. So we need to do our best to make sure that Marcus plays his absolute best footy this year in particular. And we get a real reason to celebrate come the end of September 2025. Whoa. So, Danny, we do need to go to the free to air. Yep. We are going to talk, obviously, all of the details surrounding the on and off field drama that the Bulldogs have at the moment with one dearly departed son of ours who has gone down.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Freeway. And if you want to subscribe to that Patreon Bulldogs, we have 200 and how many members now? 15?
It's gone up a fair bit this week, which is really exciting. We have currently, it says it on the app, 248. That's like we've gone up a fifth.
248. So the 248 people get access to, obviously, the deep dive commentary, the details that we won't talk about on the free to air, the bit more honesty. That's all great. Extra episodes, extra Q&A, access to all of the merchandise and stuff we do first, live shows. It really is becoming a comprehensive package of things that you get as part of the Patreon community. And also, Danny, we are still in discussions for how we improve that. This is not a what is it called, Danny? This is not a stationary mindset. This is an improvement performance mindset.
Is it?
Where we're going to continue to make the experience of our Patreons better and better as much as humanly possible. The last thing to end on, obviously not necessarily a dog thing, but I will be doing the Spuds game tomorrow, which raises money for the Dan Crowley Centre through the Black Dog Institute to obviously implement key programs and in particular research around mental health and how we can better combat the challenges that happen within the community. For those of you who've listened to me or followed my story for a long time, it's obviously something very important and personal to me, but it's equally really in the most severe ways impacted my family and my wife's family as well. So support it, watch the game, come to the game, donate if you can, be a part of the conversation, and really appreciate all of the support that you guys give me already.
Talk to your mates. It's very important. All right, we're dipping behind the paywall. Go Dogs.
Gave my childhood to that roar of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air, but the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. long, long road they're running for you. The dogs of Footscray streets.